guys, welcome to this week's sermon preview. I'm Morgan Rich and I'm with Nick. We are in the Common 12 series where we are looking at the 12 disciples. We were just looking at Peter last week, and now where are we looking?
Yeah, so this week we're going to look at James and John, two of the other disciples that were really close to Jesus. And so, Morgan, as we look at these two disciples, what is the nickname that Jesus gives them?
The Sons of Thunder.
The Sons of Thunder. Okay, so why does he give them this nickname?
He just gives them this nickname because they're very passionate. They are a little self-absorbed. They're very hot-tempered. So it was just a name that's fitting for both of them.
Yeah, right. So, and it is both of them. I think sometimes we have this impression that John was this kind of like meek and mild person because of what we encounter with him later in his life. But Jesus gives them both this nickname. They're both the Sons of Thunder, and they're kind of cut from the same cloth, so to speak. They both are kind of this hot-tempered, these zealous people, these zealous men, right? And there's a couple passages in the Scripture that kind of tell us why, or give us examples of why Sons of Thunder is kind of a fitting nickname for them. So the first is Luke chapter 9, verses 51 through 56. And this is the story when Jesus and his disciples are in Samaria, and they're amongst the Samaritans. The Samaritans are being quite disrespectful towards Jesus and not showing them any hospitality, which is kind of a big deal in that culture. And James and John are just indignant in this. They cannot believe that this is happening. And so, Morgan, what did they ask Jesus what they should do?
Yeah, they ask him to rain fire on the Samaritans.
Right, exactly. They want to call down fire on these Samaritans and just incinerate them. They want to wipe them out completely, right? And Jesus, his reaction to them is pretty intense. Like, he rebukes them and tells them this is not what we are. This is not what he is about, what he has come to do on the earth. And so they move to another city or another place to stay, right? And so that's one example where they're a little bit hot-tempered, they're zealous, they want to get after it. But then there's another time in Mark chapter 10, verses 35 through 45, where they go to Jesus, James and John go to Jesus, and they ask him a question, and they say, well, I don't know if it's really even a question as much as it is a statement, a kind of a demand of saying, we want to be seated on your left and your right in heaven, right? So they're saying we want to be in the most prominent positions with you in heaven, right? Which we kind of see this self-absorbed, almost entitled point of view from these guys as they're coming to Jesus asking this very audacious request or demand of him. And Jesus' response is great because he, and not just in this passage, but in other passages, talks about how those that are great are the ones that are humble, and those that, will have prominent positions are the ones that are servants, right? Right. And just kind of totally flips the script of what they would expect or be used to. And so what's interesting is we have these Sons of Thunder who are just these passionate, self-absorbed men at the beginning. But then later in life, James, we actually have James's death recorded, and he ends up being a martyr for Jesus, the first of the disciples to be martyred, actually. And John ends up dying of old age, pretty late in life. And they're still these passionate men, but they've been transformed into something different, into something that Jesus can use for the kingdom in just incredible ways. So, as you're thinking about this, maybe think about what are ways that Jesus has transformed them, right? As you survey the scriptures and you look at James and John's life, what are ways that Jesus has transformed them and changed them from these Sons of Thunder into something different?
Right.
And so again, we're looking at Mark 9, 51 through 56. I'm sorry, Luke 9, 51 through 56, and Mark 10, 35 through 45. But then also think about for you, what has he taken in you that's maybe raw and undeveloped and perhaps a negative, right? That, when it's used in when it's unharnessed or in the wild, it might be a negative, just like this passion for James and John was kind of a negative when it wasn't tempered by something else, wasn't tempered by love and grace. What is it about you that maybe God has given you that when it's not used in the right way, it becomes a negative. And how has Jesus tried to transform you in that? So look for different ways that Jesus has taken you in your raw state and transformed you into something that is an incredibly useful tool for the kingdom.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited. James and John they're
Yeah.
fascinating. Kind of like Peter, they're just really fascinating, and we see amazing things that Jesus does in their life where you think, why did Jesus choose them? They were just so common and ordinary and not developed or refined, and Jesus chose them and used them. So yeah, looking forward to it. See you then. Take care.